Hey everybody, I'm Colin Shantz with Copper Tree Solutions, and today we're talking about IT managed services. Managed IT services covers a broad range of different topics. When we ask business leaders what they want from technology, they just want somebody that will take ownership of it for them. They want somebody that will make sure that everything is working when they come in the morning. They don't want to deal with issues. They don't want to be Googling things and crawling around under their desks, unplugging things. They just want to use their technology. It's a tool. And they want to make sure that their infrastructure is secure. They want to know that somebody is thinking about the big picture and making sure that they've covered all the risks, and they've done all the things that are prudent to do for an organization of their size. And thirdly, they want to make sure they have the right technology in place. Do we have the proper tools in place within our organization? Are we leveraging technology to its fullest extent? Is there things we could be doing maybe with our existing tools that would allow us to be more competitive in our marketplace, maybe be more efficient or have better access to information or better data flow within our systems? Is there things we can be doing today that will take us to the next level? And how can we leverage technology to get there? So managed IT services includes a broad range of components. It includes what we call VCIO, or Virtual Chief Information Officer. That includes strategic planning. We're looking at where the organization is going. How are you using technology? What kind of infrastructure do you have in place today? And is there things you could do to improve the health of your infrastructure? Maybe it's looking at the next couple of years and saying, what technology do we need to put in place from a software level, from an application level to an infrastructure level, whether that's servers and workstations or network devices? What can we put in place to make sure we hit our goals in the next 3 to 5 years? The cost of managed IT services depends largely on the complexity of your infrastructure and how many users are being supported. Now, there's a couple different models on how managed services are priced. And really, when we talk to clients about what they're spending now, we see a pretty broad range. We see some very low costs. We see some higher costs. And what tends to happen is when we're talking to somebody that has a low cost provider, they tend to be largely reactive. At the end of the day, they don't have enough in their budget. They don't have enough time to be able to get to anything other than the reactive items. So they fix things when there's a major fire, but they're not managing risk behind the scenes. They're not actually going in and doing the maintenance. And what that means is that the business is exposed. There's hidden risks that could cause problems for the organization, whether it's a security breach or whether it's a hardware failure. If somebody if there's not enough time to be able to do the proactive work that needs to be done to make sure that everything keeps working, eventually there's going to be a problem. And when we analyze these different types of vendors and the various different price points, the other thing that we take into consideration is, the check you write to your vendor isn't actually the true cost of IT. The true cost of IT involves a lot of other things, such as, what's the cost of downtime to your organization when you have to call it, and when you have an issue and you have to call in and have somebody fix it? What's the cost to your business if there is an outage? And then there's kind of the hidden cost as well. You look at the risk to your business. If nobody's doing maintenance, if nobody's managing security, that leaves your business exposed. And what's the cost of that risk? It's hard to put some numbers around some of those things and really quantify them. When you think about your organization, and let's say you have 30 or 50 people working there, if those people aren't working, that starts to add up pretty quickly. And if you think about each of those people spending even just half an hour dealing with IT issues every month, what is the cost to your organization when they do that? And the check you send your vendor really starts to dwarf in size compared to some of those other things. I think the biggest thing people overlook when they look at IT cost is cost of risk in the organization. There's lots of things that could be, if nobody's doing maintenance on your systems, there is hidden risk in your infrastructure for sure. We've talked to a lot of businesses over the years about how they manage technology and how they're currently taking care of their infrastructure. And one of the things that's happened numerous times is we talk to somebody and maybe they're not totally happy with how their infrastructure is being managed or the results that they're getting, but ultimately they're not quite ready to invest in a fully managed IT service such as ours. And invariably, they will come back after a year or two, usually after some kind of a bad experience, and ultimately they make the decision to move forward. We had a client that we were talking to for probably about 2 years. I think we talked to them twice. We talked to them in January of one year, and they were looking at making some changes there. They weren't totally happy. They weren't quite sure they were ready to make the investment. About a year and a half later, they called us up and they had been hit with a data breach, and their systems had been compromised, and they were dealing with ransomware. And suddenly, the cost of IT to properly manage IT suddenly looked a lot cheaper, and they decided they're ready to make the investment. I think one of the things that people tend to overlook in determining whether they need IT services or not is the hidden risk in your business. If nobody is proactively looking after your infrastructure, there's risk in your business that should be addressed. And it's pretty hard to put a number on what that cost of the risk is. Thanks again for tuning in. I'd like to invite you to visit us at our website, coppertreesolutions.ca, and contact us for a free assessment.